mean, if you really want the verbiage in there, I guess we can write it in there, but
I want to state the obvious for the council,
So-
for going forward. What we're doing today, I think we're all kind of getting a feel for what's going on, but going forward, the new council, you know, they're having to say, yeah, we've got to approve this, and then we'll go forward with funding.
And also it puts the candidate on notice that they know it's a given, but it's right there in their job description that, you know, this thing is, this could be temporary if things don't look good.
And I want to reinforce that these two guys have really worked hard at coming up with verbiage and ordinance and a job description that helps work with the council. They've done that. All of the state ordinance says, you know, they work at the pleasure of the commissioners, and the only thing the council can do, according to the state ordinances, is you fund it. And that's all you do. Well, I wouldn't know. I mean, I think that it's a partnership, and this job is a communication link between all of us. And we'll make sure that it says right in the ordinance, right in the job description, that it has responsibilities to the council. And I think we did. I think we pretty much got there. I mean, for example, the line 6 under reporting, it says prepare and submit reports that either the county commission's request or the administrator considers advisable, and was added, and to report monthly to the commission and the county council on a year-to-date expenditures compared to budget and other financial issues as directed. So that's saying to me, any financial report that this person comes up with for the commissioners, they are to share it with the council and be at every council meeting to share this. So it's kind of open book then, and that's what it needs to be. So these guys have worked hard at that in trying to make all that fit.
I can't believe nobody asked the 50,000 where that come from, so I told Rob, I just, due to you guys having your time frame of when stuff had to be submitted by, Gary and I was still trying to work through details, so I just pulled out something that I thought was going to be doable for 6 months. You can always go less, obviously, if you advertise, but you can't go more, so I didn't want to get too low and then not have enough. I think that's more than fine if we table this, and we plan on having it on our agenda again the last meeting of the month, and then by the time it comes to you guys in June. So.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Just one other comment, and I read it last night quickly. I can't verbally give you all the details on it. But what Jennifer just brought up about central buying, if this person is working with all the department heads, can that not be part of that? I mean, if she's saying it's a quarter of money, let's say it's $10,000, that's 20%. Do we need to address that in the job description?
Good point.
Yeah, I don't know. I
They're
think
working with all the
they're working with,
department heads.
well, they're working with all the budgets and those kind of things. I think this person in this position is going to, I look forward to seeing a lot of those kind of things crop up. You know, we can save money here by doing this. If we do this, you know, this will cost us this much less, we're getting this much. I think those things are all over the place throughout the county. That's just one example. I don't know. I envision they have full reign of doing those kinds of things, and you wouldn't stifle something
No.
like that.
Nothing in that aspect would we, especially if it's going to save the money. But I guess my only concern about listing too much in that job description, especially starting something up new, and like you said, as a pilot, you know, it might take a couple, 3 months to get this up and going, and I don't want one of you guys calling me up and saying, you guys said this would be done, and here we are 3 months in, and nobody's doing central buying, and so on and so forth. So I would be a little leery about putting too much in that job description as far as specifics, but know that if it's possible and it looks like it's a expenditure savings, then obviously we're all for it.
Yeah, as far as the central buying is concerned, I think we've accomplished that with the IT stuff, haven't we? Because before, every department was going out and buying their own computer centralize that under the IT department. Number one, so we know it's all compatible with the system we're running here. Number two, you can save money by buying in bulk usually. And I think that's working out pretty well.
And the only other thing we have not talked about that Gary and I did, and I don't know if he shared, is the discussion did come up about transportation. So, you know, I think something about vehicle was eventually talked about down there on that end a minute ago, but we have not come up to a set answer for that. Obviously, I think that's something that can be moving. I mean, this person definitely will be moving around quite a bit, you know, with meetings and stuff like that. So vehicle compared to mileage, you know, we don't know, but one or the other, it's obviously going to cost us a little bit of expense in that aspect somewhere. I know why you're smiling, Gary. We just talked about mileage reimbursement and stuff the other day too. So.
Okay, yeah. All right, anybody else? All right, I think we've had a pretty healthy discussion. All in favor to table this until our next meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 6-0. Okay, thank you. Okay, it looks like we got some more line adjustments.
Can I just address, I'm just gonna address, items 3 through 7.
Uh-huh.
A little bit of confusion going around about these. All of those additionals in lines 3 through 7 are, items that you approved in the month of January. However, just now heard back from the DLGF and they want us to re-advertise them, so that's what I have done. So, re-advertise all the things that you approved as additionals in January to comply with their request.
Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, one of the newspapers did not get our ad in in the time frame requested. How's that for a diplomatic answer? So anyway, that's the reason for items 3 through 7. And if you, I mean, I do have all your signatures on them from January, so I mean, I don't know why the redo would be any different.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
For that explanation. Everybody
I have
else?
one more I'll address while I'm up here.
Sure.
It's my request. Number 8 is actually my request also.
Uh-huh.
The statute allows the county to utilize dog tax to reimburse people who lose livestock due to dog attacks. And that portion of the money, we have had a case come up. All of their paperwork is in order. The police report, insurance report, the costing of the animal. And the reimbursement that they are due is $997. So I just ran a $1,000 additional appropriation because there are no appropriations in that fund at this point. So
To tack on to Jen, I'm familiar with that case, I understand it, and I think it's fair and appropriate.
yeah, basically the way I arrived at that number was I took the cost of the animal as provided by retailers, plus the cost to have the animal euthanized after the attack, minus what the owner received in insurance settlement from their insurance company. So I arrived at $997. Okay?
What animal was killed?
It was a cow,
Correct.
a red cow.
I thought we got milk.
Joke grenade.
Wow.
That took me.
I'll make a motion to reapprove 3 through 7, our additional appropriations that we did in January.
Second.
Greg, second. All right. Any other questions on that? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? 6-0. All right. And then number 8, okay, Don makes a motion. Your second.
Second.
Tom? How much money do we have in that account right now, Jen?
In the dog taxes, we have a little over 9,000 right now.
Okay.
We'll have more after settlement time, but, you know,
Yeah,
it only
if-
happens twice a year.
Right, right. If those 1,300 people that own dogs in the county pay that,
Right, this is the account that I always caution you about the spending of, because the Animal Welfare League comes and asks for more money. This is the same place that we take the money to give them their extra. So I always caution you about, well, we may have an animal killed, it's gonna take up some of that money. So you always kind of want to leave a little bit in there.
Right.
These don't happen very often. It's the first one since I've been auditor, so.
Okay. Right, and I know that we always left a balance in there that should cover, I was thinking the chickens, but not correct.
Well, I mean, yeah, it could be chicken, before it's been chickens, it's been sheep,
Goats.
this is cow. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions, comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. Okay, transfers. This one looks like they got some equipment to repair in Superior Wood. I'd entertain a motion to approve that.
So,
Second. Any questions, comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, number 2 is $2,564.11 from our special legal budget to match on a grant for, I'll look at countywide internet. And I think we talked about this, did we talk about this in the last meeting? I think we did.
Cheryl.
Yeah, that's right. So I would entertain a motion for that. Donald?
Second.
Gary, second. Any questions on that? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? It looks like the highway has a couple. Do you want to explain this?
Hey, it's up to you. I don't want to step on your toes, but I've been working with them on
I
it.
think you'll be a little bit more thorough about it. It's like that assistant's getting a bigger.
This is basically, they have moved some people around over at the highway department, so in order to get the appropriations correct in the pay lines, in order to pay these positions properly, we have to do these 2 transfers. We're moving it out of one line. The first one, the 731540. Is moving it from the operations manager line to assistant highway director line. And then the other one is taking money from the a different assistant highway manager line and putting it into assistant highway director line. So that would cover the needed salaries for that position. Is that all right? Okay.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion to approve this request. Transferring money. Here, is there a second? I didn't hear this. Oh, Gary. Thanks.
Great.
Any questions or comments on this?
So you're filling one position, you're doing away with 2, creating a new one, is that what you?
When we restructured, we had to be away from creating a position.
So basically what we did in the budget is kind of catching up all that, right? Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. And then number 5, supplemental PD services public vendor to building lease, 3rd floor. And Brian's here. So I'll let you kind of address that, and we will, that also take care of on down the way, number E for public defender office lease. Just kill 2 birds.
Yeah, they go together.
Yeah.
Well, good morning. Everyone knows I'm the chief public defender here, and we've grown out of our space. We're on the 2nd floor over in 127 East Main Street, the old Stone Wood Building. And as this council will remember, earlier this year you gave me permission to hire another attorney, another deputy. I did that in March. And when he came on board, we had to clean out the file cabinet room to give him space for a desk, which apparently fits in that. And now we have 4 attorneys, myself included, and only one conference room, which makes it pretty tough. So we've been in some discussions with the landlord, Allied Capital Title, who owns that building now. Initially, I think I came and talked, and there was some discussion about trying to remodel. We're on half of the 2nd floor, the other half of the 2nd floor has not been finished ever. And after they looked at that, they were going to require too much money. They wanted to recoup their money in redoing all that. So now we've looked at the 3rd floor. The abstract company, which was on the 3rd floor, has moved down to the 1st floor. So there's more space on the 3rd floor. It's basically the whole 3rd floor, except in the very front. Pat Sosby still has her office in the front. It would allow us each a regular office for my newest deputy. There's plenty of room to expand. As I mentioned the last time I was here, hoping to hire 2 at some point. We hired 1, and council said, let's wait and see how that goes, and that's fine. There are 2 conference rooms up there that right now they plan to leave. They're fully furnished with tables and chairs, wouldn't be any additional expense there. And even another room in the back that could be used for another conference room if necessary. Just more space, and so in discussions with, I was at the commissioners meeting yesterday, basically, as you may know, commissioners right now are paying $1,000 for our space. In preliminary discussion with the landlord, they would allow us to move upstairs, and they would do some remodeling for us, and they suggested $1,800 a month if we do that. So it'd be an additional $800 a month. They would take 2 or 3 months, even if you gave the go ahead and the commissioner said yes to do that. It would take 2 or 3 months to get that ready. So the $4,000 transfer, Jennifer, I talked about it. That's the additional for 5 months. Best case scenario is started in August. That'd be $4,000 to finish out this year, with the idea that hopefully the commissioners then would put that additional $800 in the budget for next year, so it would come out of their budget for 2020. We're talking about a 5-year lease with them, which I think right now we're on just an annual lease, and as Dan can tell you, it's a procedure every time we have to do that. You get a petition, 15 names and so forth. And we're going to have to do that again at the end of this year because we're only under a 1-year lease. So either way, we're going to have to presumably renew the lease, and in worst case, stay there, hopefully move up to the 3rd floor. So that's where we're at. I guess I'm here asking for blessing from that, and the money is there in the supplemental fund. That's, as you may recall, the bond admin fund that last year got transferred over totally to my office. That's where the deputy's fund is coming out of, and this is $4,000 is coming out of that line item because he wasn't hired until March, so that money's there. We didn't use it in January, February, so that $4,000 clearly is available. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Brian. Do you know what the balance in that fund is right now?
Total,
It's $214,061.40.
Okay. So we're just transferring $4,000 out of that to kind of carry us through the end of the year.
Right, you have a grand total of 64,600 in appropriations right now. So we would just be moving that from one line to it, 4,000 of that from one line to another.
I would entertain a motion to approve this.
Question, please. So, if I understand right, the rent is going up $800 a month going forward.
If we do it, if we move to the third floor. It's more space. I mean, it's.
I guess, if I remember correctly, when we agreed to the budget for the public defenders, that I was under the impression that the rent was coming out of other fees, that we weren't paying the rent for their offices. Is it, am I the only one that remembers that, or?
No, the fees are coming out of that bond administration money that they transfer to the public defender, so it's not tax dollars, right? Yeah.
So, and that will continue with the increase, it's still coming out of that.
We'll eventually run out of that money, unless business really drops off.
Yeah, okay, I understand.
With this new space, if you end up with another prosecutor, will that take them
Deputy.
into?
Public defender, not prosecutor.
Well, sorry.
Nasty word, okay. Yes, there will be.
They'd argue that.
There's room to expand, yes.
So if you added another personnel, we've got space in there, we wouldn't be in the same situation again this time next year.
No,
Okay.
we shouldn't have to move again.
Is this committing to a 5-year deal by doing this?
No.
So this is just to finish out the year?
Well, that's not even gonna, I mean, I don't want to get the cart before the horse here, but that's, that money, we're asking to make that money available, and then I gotta go back to the commissioners, as I understand it, and get their approval, because they've been the ones signing the lease.
This doesn't commit, this isn't committing to a 5-year.
No.
Because I would urge the commissioners to kind of tread water on that until I think this is an excellent example of administrator being able to have time to research this and see if there's better alternatives. And I don't know that there is. I just think that's a good example.
I would entertain a motion to approve this.
So moves for.
Is there a second?
Second.
Great. Any other questions, comments?
Terry? Can I just say, now, if the lease doesn't happen for us to move upstairs, we're not gonna use that money. I mean, it's, that's contingent on us getting it, otherwise our rental stay where it is right now. Presumably, I mean, they could raise it on us next year, I mean, we're under just a 1-year lease with them, and so forth. So, one step at a time is how we have to do it, I guess, and
So we need to argue your case with the commissioner.
I guess the question being is so committing to this, is that committing to a 5-year agreement with them? Are they they're gonna build it out not knowing whether we commit to a 5-year lease?
well, the discussion with them was, initially, has been with, just threw out the idea of a 5-year lease. Now, we can negotiate with them, I mean, none of this is set in stone at this point. So, and if we don't want to go 5 years, the county wants to do less than that, I would assume they would do that.
Well,
They're not doing a whole lot of build out
right.
being required for this, it's not like the second.
I think we need to be cautious, just because not only what Gary said, but I mean, there could be a lot of changes in 5 years that could change a lot of different aspects of what space is needed, what space isn't needed. Unfortunately, I don't think Gary's hope of business going down is probably the opposite is going to happen. We sure don't want to commit to a 5-year lease and have them do build out thinking that we are committed to a 5-year lease, because I'm not sure that we're in for that. There is some positives about 5-year leases, like Dan said, whether you like it or dislike it, the way the statute reads it, what you have to do every time you go and renegotiate this lease, it's not really hard, it's just kind of a nuisance, but, so So yes, long-term is good in some ways, but we sure don't want to be stuck there for 5 years. We don't want them to think we're going to pay for 5 years and have to spend money on the building and then in 3 years say, well, we got better options.
Yeah, and I think the council knows this, but you guys have to approve any leases anyway of a certain amount. This would fall under that. You guys have a, commissioners can negotiate a lease, they still have to bring it to you for approval. So you'll see it again in one shape or form.
I just think that needs to be, make sure that that's spoken to the owners. I don't want them thinking that we're committed to a 5-year lease and then spend $20,000 on the building and they say, well, we're done. You know, I want to be a good partner in this, but also want to be smart about it.
The other thing I'll say, as long as mayors, commissioners, council would do is fine, but my preliminary discussion with them, the price wouldn't change. I mean, that was the other thing that I liked about it for 5 years, if they're not gonna raise the price on us, it's a pretty good deal, so, I understand.
I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Gary? Second? Gary, second. Any other questions on this?
I got one just real quick. Remember how much square footage is on that? I'm thinking.
I mean, there's more up on the third floor than what we have now in the second.
I think what this works out to, if I'm calculating this right, it's about $5 a square foot, and that includes utilities. That's cheap. Okay, so we're not gonna find it.
Do they take property tax?
Yes. They, yes, they are paying property taxes on it, except for new service and everything, so that's pretty cheap.
And they have more space.
We're paying rent. We're paying rent to pay property
Yeah, they can be used to ours.
Don't even go there, Gary.
Yeah, it's kind of a circular world. All right, got a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? So, I think it's Gary for the day.
For today, thank you.
Unless you got something else. we'll talk to us about.
I think that's it. I'm assuming I have to go back to the commissioners now, so. Let's start negotiating. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Brian. All right, brings us to the IMPA Solar Park abatement. Let's hear the talk about
Good morning, everyone. I'm Emily Williams. I'm project manager with IMPA. I was just in front of you all a few months ago on a project that's started construction now, our Darlington Solar Park out by I-74. And this morning coming to you for a project about 10 times that size. So we'll go through the details here. And I've got Phil Good with me, I'm sorry, General Manager of CELMP and also the Chairman of the IMPA Board. Just a quick refresher on IMPA. We are a not-for-profit joint agency political subdivision of the state of Indiana. So we don't have shareholders. We are a not-for-profit agency. We were started in about 1983 when communities pulled together to be able to jointly purchase wholesale electric power at a more cost-effective rate. And one of those founding communities was Crawfordsville. From that time, we've grown from 11 members to 61 now. We serve 60 here in Indiana and 1 in Ohio. We own coal, baseload coal, 524 megawatts, as you can see there. We have 3 different peaking combustion turbine natural gas stations in Anderson, Indianapolis, and Richmond. Then we also have purchase power contracts that make up some of our wholesale electricity as well. And then nowadays, since 2014, we've been doing our solar park program. We have 20 solar parks now throughout the state, making up 48 megawatts. 3.25 of those megawatts are here in Montgomery County, but we are really growing our footprint here in the county with about 14 megawatts of solar under construction right now, 2 in Crawfordsville, 1 at the Darlington. And then we're hoping with this solar park that I'm going to be presenting to you today, and then another one actually in Crawfordsville and some property adjacent to Crawford Industries, another 12 megawatts in the 2019-2020 time frame. Next slide, please. Sorry, this is a little hard to see, but you can see that little red line right there at 150 south and 250 east is, 225, is the 80 acres that we're looking to purchase. And I wanted to kind of blow this out so you could get a feel of where it is. So we're on the southeast edge of the city, and you can see Newport down that way too. So we come in off of Newport Road, and this property is owned by the Rock family. And then, so that should probably say 225 east, not 250. But this is just a preliminary site plan at this point. So if we're too close to some boundaries or something, we can certainly adjust that as we go along. But just wanted to put this out and get kind of a feel of roughly the size of the facility. There is the house up in the northeast corner, and for these plan purposes, we didn't take that down, and you'll see that it's cut through the middle. There's actually a pretty substantial legal drain that goes through there, so that comes with a 150-foot easement. So by statute, we're permitted to build a solar facility up to 10 megawatts without having to get other permits and just being able to go forward through county and municipal permits and processes. So this site would actually be 9.9 megawatts, so we're pushing right up to that. It would be our biggest site to date, but the largest next to that at this point is 8.14 megawatts in Anderson, just to give you some comparison. So that site would amount to about 33,000 panels. Single axis tracking means that they do track with the sun. There's a picture there of what that would look like. They sit on torque tubes, and they would be rotating as the sun rose until it is set every day, getting flat about noon. The property in total is 80 acres. We're asking for the ERA designation over the property that we're purchasing in total because where the panels will actually sit on the property could shift some as we go through the design process, but we're just buying that one parcel. Again, it's approximately 9.9 megawatts. And this being the largest, you do gain some economies of scale, but we haven't built one quite to the size. So at this point, we're estimating 8 to 10 months construction. That's what we've seen on similar size projects, but that could bleed a little bit just depending on what might come up during the project. At this point, we're looking to start construction in about